Hello, this is Don Victor, author of Drawn to Win, host of the podcast Drawn to Win, the director of the Academy of Composition, and the creator of the Core 80 Experience, also known as the See and Grow Rich in Art video course, which you can find out more information at core80.com. This is the Drawn to Win podcast, where I have the incredible privilege to draw artists from around the world into fun and meaningful conversations around art and life, and yes, maybe even a little food. You can hear us each week on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So make sure you subscribe so you always have a seat among friends. Let's get into the show. So I'd like to just start by inviting the Holy Spirit into this cool conversation that as we talk about being creative as creatives, we can maybe even learn and get some inspiration by the one who created all things. So,
yeah,
Luba, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Now, I have to ask you about your name first, because I heard something the other day, and I want to just get it confirmed by you. What does your name mean?
My name is Luba, which is a very typical Russian name. It's actually a very common name because the full name, which pronounced as Lubov, means love. And it's a very, very common, very simple, not a big deal name in Russia. But for the short, it just goes as Luba. So that's what it means. It simply means love.
That's what I thought it meant, and that I guess there was with the way that people speak, the V, somewhere in the history of it, the V, that V sound, changed to the B sound and became Luba, right? And I heard that, like, I think it might have been yesterday morning, and so when I saw your name this morning, I was like, wait, this is cool. We're talking to love.
Yes, we're talking to love.
I love it. I Luba it.
I Luba it. That sounds fun.
So I love that you're from Russia. You're from Russia, right?
Well, as you know, Russia is so broad and it's so huge, and I am actually from the bitter end, I call it. It's a border with Siberia and China. It's basically where Dostoevsky was exiled by Tsar back in those days. On those flat steeps with nothing around, with the brutal cold, with the strong winds. And this is where I was born, right on his street, right next to the Museum of Dostoevsky, which is unbelievable. It's so beautiful and little. It's just the house where he spent his most of his life and wrote beautiful pieces. And so this is where I was born, in Siberia. But nowadays it became Kazakhstan ever since Soviet country kind of collapsed and divided into sort of small puzzles, I call it. So now it became a Kazakhstan. It's a land. It's a huge land. It's actually 7th largest country in the world in terms of land.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Which one, Siberia or Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan. But since it's a border with Siberia, I'm always saying that, I'm from Siberia because I'm still in my former Soviet mind where, I'm not in Kazakhstan. I'm still in Soviet country. I'm Soviet girl.
Listen, you're in America, right? So never say Kazakhstan because we think, oh, that's next to Afghanistan, right? So
that's right. So
but you say Siberia, we know where Siberia is.
I'm
like,
trying to put you on the map.
That really cold place.
I did say Siberia.
the cold prison where if you, that's how we know it. That's awesome. Very cool. And now you live where?
Well, I'm here in the United States for now for 20 years, and I lived in Minneapolis to begin with. This is where I started. I spent the first 6 years there because I got married. And then of course, I wanted to pursue my career for the second time, I call it, so badly that I've applied to a few universities where I thought of New York and big cities, and I never heard of Savannah back then, but I always wanted to attend university and gain a second degree. So my first degree was from Soviet country, but
and what was that
the
degree
art degree, but it was an art degree, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, but I kind of shifted towards fashion, and I've always been focused on fashion. And I got fabulous scholarship from SCAD, actually for fashion. And this is what motivates us family to move to Savannah so that I can, study properly and be able to deal with my little baby girl who was 5 years old back then. So we moved to Savannah for school from Minneapolis.
Nice.
And that's how it all started, from fashion. And I was so greedy. I double majored in fashion and painting because my first degree was in paintings. I always thought, well, that's great. I'll just, polish, that subject up as well if I can. And I will work on fashion and as well as paintings. So, and I spent 5 years studying both majors and graduated in 2010.
That's awesome. And have you done anything with the fashion, or did you go straight into painting after?
No, of course since I've worked on fashion primarily. I wanted it so badly. I focused. I was dedicated, determined. I've attended a lot of auditions. I did a lot of auditions for Project Runway, and I did creative portfolios every year. So I've met Steve Gunn and his crew and all the celebrities that were in the judges and the panel. And so, of course, that didn't work out because it's when you're in the media and on TV, it's not nice to be nice. You have to be a little bit drama or, more interesting, which means I should have been myself is what I thought. And, I'm just trying to be a little bit sarcastic. I thought, oh my goodness, why wouldn't I just be myself, relax and say what I feel like saying. But anyways, so I was pretty close though. I was selected in the last 30 contestants. Then they were selected 15 of them. So I was in that bracket of 30. And I thought, okay, I'm so close. I'm almost in, and so I'll be able to develop this business so well. I mean, I was that crazy, so I went for all of those auditions in like 10 years in a row. But then I got so tired of it. Yes. And then suddenly I had to take one elective class, which of course I took an art class. And I talked to one of my favorite professors, and he said, why would you need this fashion? You're crazy. Look at how you paint. And he just totally hypnotized me.
And who was that?
He manipulated my brain. Yeah, reversed it upside down and changed the whole thing. So,
what teacher was that? Who was she?
His last name was Professor Walton, Mark Walton. And he was fabulous. He just, I always wondered, was that his favorite? I mean, he tiptoed around me, and he always wanted me to work harder and challenges me. So, and then he pushed, and one time he gave me this long speech by the end of the semester, and he just told me that I have to rethink my major. And I really took his advice seriously and honestly thought maybe I should. Since fashion business wasn't that, I wasn't so lucky in it to begin with because, right from the get-go, I started playing these big games. I went for the competitions, and maybe I should have started smaller. But anyway, so this is how it all happened. And then, of course, I started selling art, and I realized that I get more joy from it. I work less, and I earn more money. So, and I thought,
that sounds good. That sounds like that's a nice combination.
So I get to play like a kid on the playground and get paid for it. So I thought, well, maybe I should rethink that. Yes, it's just became a more joyful process. And I realized that by doing it, the process is what makes me so happy. But in fashion, it was always a struggle to work with the garment. And then the end is the conclusion. The product itself makes you happy. But, sometimes the journey is a nightmare. And I'm thinking, well, I love both businesses very, very much. And I still do fashion a lot. But it seems like I get more playful, I'm in the playful mood when I'm painting. So, and this is the decision I made to switch to art.
I love that. That you're in a playful mood when you're painting. You can see that in your images. Like even, like on your website, you have this one section called Savannah Scapes. I think you write it somewhere. I was just like, man, that's such a cool word, a Savannahscape. So let me ask you right now, what are you currently working on? Like, what are you doing now?
Yes. My current work is all associated with postcards. It's called Postcards from Savannah.
Nice.
So I've been inspired by one of the Russian artists who carried his little easel in a pocket. And anywhere he goes, everywhere he stands in these awkward locations where you can't put the easel quite in that location, but the view is perfect. And he's like, I don't know, I have to squeeze myself in this corner, but I have to get this view. And so he used to carry this little pocket easel. And I thought, man, this is so cool. I get this every time in Savannah where I go up hills or down hills or stand somewhere in a very, very, like uncomfortable spot, so to speak. But I see this beautiful view, and so I can just paint that. But of course, it became a postcard size kind of events where I had to put that little plein air painting into a 5x7, given space, I call it, like small panel. And I started liking this process, and I thought it was so playful, and I can just go and explore Savannah and see. Before, I didn't see much of Savannah, and I didn't know history, really didn't read history deep enough. But then I started reading about all the squares and amazing buildings and the history of it. I just got so enchanted by it. I was totally embracing it. And so it became Postcards from Savannah Journey, where every week I post a new painting of the new location with the, a history written of the location.
That's awesome. And it has so much history. It's just crazy.
Of course. And it's just so wonderful even to be obligated now to open the books, go find what this building was. Let's say I was just recently painting a beautiful dome building that was highlighted with lights, and sun was bringing me this beautiful different kind of tones of greens, and I thought, wow, what a competition of greens. Let me just put it all on the canvas and see how I can do it. So it's challenging. But then I found out that I actually painted a Chatham County jail.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, that was jail.
But that was one of the buildings, right? That's one of Scott's buildings, yeah.
Right, but never ever I thought right in the beginning much about it. I just thought that it's a very beautiful structure. And then, later on you research about that building and you realize that the architect was the same that built the City Hall, which I've painted recently too. So, it became this kind of a game of history and a little cute, paintings on the go, this fast kind of a glimpses of, and it's been in the Russian culture for a very long period of time, right? Like in the beginning of 19th century and the end of 19th century, where, Russian artists would go on plein air paintings and paint together. And so, and from my, school, it was very important for us to go and do the plein air. But of course, you're in Siberia. You're like in minus 20 degrees weather, admiring all the white snow and freezing to death. I mean, this is what I remember. But that was the experience, and I thought, this would be great to bring it all back. And of course, the nostalgia is there because it kind of wraps up with the history of Savannah, and it's sort of, I'm trying to compare it to a nostalgic moment of being Russian, that former Soviet time, which actually, if you dig deeper, there is some commonality to it. It's fun. I mean, I think people always look for entertainment. It shouldn't be too drama or too sad. You can always, get excited and put it in a kind of positive way. I don't know. I mean, nostalgia to me is a little sad, but there's so much more to it, and it's fun to talk about that too. So that's what I'm working on currently.
If you ever need help with branding, I'll give this one to you for free. Paintings by the Happy Russian.
That's right.
The Happy Russian in Savannah. You have so much energy. I find it fascinating. And interestingly enough, like I think almost, at least the majority of people that I know from that part of the world, I'll say like I can think of a couple people, like Ukrainian people I know. You have a very similar, I will say, even accent, but just energy. My one friend Kirill from Jiliskov, I met him in Savannah. Yeah, I all have like this energy about you. It's kind of like a bull, where it's very, very strong.
I actually am enjoying that too. I mean, I'm glad that I was born happy. So, and actually living in poverty for such a long time and a scarcity of the socialist, country. It kind of, I thought it might bring me down at some point, or I maybe will be more mad at the world. But actually, I went and traveled a lot when I grew up, and after winning a beauty pageant and like crazy event in when I was 17, I actually got a ticket to travel abroad, and
really
that. Oh yeah, so that was the main purpose for me, to get a good prize money and go travel and see the world. That was the best part ever. When I was 18, 17, I actually couldn't have competed back then, but I lied in my form. I filled out that I was 19. So
they're like, she looks so young for 19. She's so beautiful. Yeah. That's
so
right.
This is how I started traveling everywhere. And, by the time when Soviet Union sort of suffered perestroika, which is like major change in the country, so people were actually started freely traveling everywhere. And this is what I've embraced. I love to go everywhere and to see.
So let's talk about some places you've gone. Because what's nice is that in Savannah, you have this huge international community, right?
Correct.
So, but before we go into that conversation, where have you gone and what did you do and what did you love? And so take us on that journey.
Well, first, of course, I started when I graduated. I went to St. Petersburg, Moscow. I went to Vladivostok, which is, it's just like all these crazy locations all over Russia. I traveled everywhere, heard about history, mostly about World War II. But then I started getting interested in going to Germany. I spent there. But the way I traveled is funny. I wanted to stay in the country I travel. So I went to Germany, and I found a way to stay there for a year, to see how, to see the country, live in there, travel a little bit, in the different places.
How did you do it?
Then I went to...
You worked at the hostels?
Well, we had a lot of Jewish Russians who migrated back to Germany, and most of them were my friends, and they simply were homesick, and they were like telling us, well, come on over and visit us and stay with us, and just come over. So it was just a big homesick, like for friends, for country, and we would bring some sweets and
so you were
whatever.
doing is you were leveraging nostalgia to get access into those countries. Yes, nice.
Right. And it would hit me over and over again, because I would be confronted with a different culture and the different parts of the world, and I would be like fascinated myself, thinking, oh my gosh, look how beautiful this country is. And yet I am nostalgic. I am trying to be, I think about all of the wonderful time I spent in Russia, and I'm thinking, come on, you don't think about the negative and bad times you had there, but because nostalgia is always about these bright and beautiful memories, and they are just, so captivating. And I was always thinking about that. And I was thinking, wow, but I never, ever allow myself to think, well, the reason why you don't want to be there is because of the other, unfortunate times or hard lives and stuff like that. But for some reason, I wasn't thinking about that. So I was only thinking about nostalgia, beautiful breeze and sunshine and puppies and blooming flowers and spring, things like that.
Nice.
So, and then after Germany, I went to...
I was going to say, so after Germany, you went where?
I went to Istanbul, Turkey. And I stayed there for about 3 months. I found a travel agency where I could just get some part-time job and work there in the meantime and see the place. And so I lasted only 3 months because it was a little difficult. I was too young and maybe too pretty. So I couldn't much keep up with the Turkish guys.
Yeah.
It was a little bit difficult. No, it's a Muslim country. It could be challenging.
And just to be clear, it wasn't that you dated them all. They just were trying to all date you.
No, I was scared.
Yeah. They're very, very intense. Like, what I get scared just standing next to them. And their energy isn't pointing at me. It's just like, it's too intense. When I was in Savannah, I had a very beautiful roommate, Chan, and he was from Turkey. And my God, every morning he'd wake up and he would just announce to the world certain things that should never be said. And that's his morning affirmations. And it was all based around women. I didn't get it.
Yes.
What is he talking about? Oh! He just wake up and he just scream things, It's like
cultures are different everywhere in this part of parts of the world. This is crazy. Some country admires white collar, another country hates it, another country avoids it, another country is superstitious about it. It's like, oh my God,
they embrace it.
So it's been a very good learning process. I felt very grateful that my mom was my biggest sponsor, and she allowed me to travel and and told me, you just go ahead and see how this world spins around, and see different parts of the world. And then, of course, I stumbled on a friend who invited me to United Arab Emirates, and this is where I spent my major time, 3.5 years. Wow. I worked for a travel agency, and I had my little fashion shop, and I tried all kinds of things. I mean, it was hard, but it was fun. And, until I got married, and I left Dubai and moved to Minneapolis.
You got married in Dubai?
No, I met my husband in Dubai, corresponding through emails and stuff, and then we met in my hometown, where he went to Kazakhstan to meet me, and this is how it all happened.
And so he's from the States?
Yes, and 20 years later,
giving me
still
hope.
married.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. Shoot. So it does work.
But yeah, the traveling, and actually I painted quite a bit in Dubai. I was doing fashion, but I was painting too, because, you know, there was some sort of interest in people. They would want to have paintings, and I thought, well, you know, I will just paint and see what happens. And I sold a few pieces because I didn't paint much. I used to work a lot, but I did that too. So it was all kind of, you know, the art was hunting me back. Like, it was always on the back of my mind. It was always there. It was just up until I went to SCAD, I actually embraced it again.
So your time in the Emirate was about 20 years ago, right?
Yes, and my company was only 5 years old. Now they celebrated their 27th anniversary, I think.
Wow, really? So you used to have a company in Dubai? Or, I mean, and they, wow, really? Dude, you're awesome. I haven't been there yet, but it is a place that I see myself spending quite a amount of time there. I have some very dear friends who grew up there, and some who are there now. And I've always envisioned myself teaching there. But that's very cool. So, like, what part of the Emirate were you in?
Well, I visited all 7 Emirates back then, but I always stayed and lived in Dubai.
That's awesome.
So that was the Cosmopolitan. It was the business center, tax-free land. It was the best experience I've ever had. So and now my daughter is she's almost 20, and I told her she wants to go with me there, and we're planning actually go there this summer to visit, and so she can see. I always talk about it, and she said, "Oh, I want to see where you worked, where you've been." I said, "Well, you should." And so we are trying to organize that trip this summer.
And so the company that you have there is a fashion company or a travel company?
No, this is a travel agency.
Okay, gotcha.
And now expanded into developing the hotels and the franchises in Czech Republic and Austria. I don't know. I don't know much about it after 20 years, but I've realized how big they are now. So
okay, so I get it. I understand. So you work for them. That's not your company.
No. It's not my company. No.
Okay, gotcha.
I just work for them.
Yeah. Gotcha. But they're still there, and now they're going on other things. That's awesome. Right. That's very beautiful. I love that. So here's a crazy question. In terms of your art development, which 2 of the countries that you visited can you still see an influence in your work today from the most?
St. Petersburg. Winter Castle. St. Petersburg. I've been there 3 times. I went to St. Pete, to visit Hermitage. And actually, it was one of our mandatory trips from school. It's like a field trip. You go and you paint and you copy paintings of masters. And so, of course, the Russian artists were the most inspiring of all. And it was just, before it worked on me like a magic. I could never understand how they could paint that little moon that shines like a light bulb. I couldn't understand. And it was just the most inspiring place. I even went there 3 times because I knew I couldn't embrace and see everything. So, and I would keep going there and see more art. And it was fascinating. And it still is. I think one of the best places to be inspired, though. One of the best.
That's awesome. So now you're in Savannah. What do you do? Do you do a lot with the international people there?
Well, our art community here is all based on tourism. And of course, we meet a lot of people from all over the world. It's kind of seasonal. There's a season of Canadians, and there is a season of people who go to Orlando, Florida, and they go through Savannah. I mean, there's seasons like that, and so we have all kinds of people here. I mean, the tourism is getting bigger, which is nice, and the art community is also beautiful. So we have quite a nice art center, and my gallery is located in this art center, and it's also a studio gallery space where we exhibit our work in the gallery, and we can actually work there too. So it's all in one.
What street is it on for anyone who's in Savannah?
Oh yeah, it's on the West St. Julian Street. It's right in the center of City Market.
Oh,
right in downtown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
that's nice. Very cool.
Great community. Yeah.
Is Vinny Van Gogh still there? The pizza place?
Correct. So I am right in front of it.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, right there used to be, right in front of it. There's a church right across the street, right? The first African Baptist church or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's still there. Yeah.
And then to the right, that's where Lady and Sons, I believe, first started. They have a big restaurant, I believe, down the road now, but they started
down the road. Yeah.
Yeah, but they started like in this little tiny. They had a little space, but it was right near Vinnie Van Gogh's, right there.
Correct. It's all there. So,
that's awesome. That's very, very cool.
All located right here.
Oh, I'm going quiet because I'm having about 600 memories fly through my face right now, and I probably shouldn't speak half of them. But
that's so sweet, you remember Savannah that way. Good.
It's a beautiful. What would be funny is if you did a series of your Savannah postcards, right?
Yes.
But like do a haunted version of them. Have you done gone on the haunted tours and stuff?
Yes, I did. But I thought that that might be a continuation of the subject. But right now I'm working on the book, so I want my work to be cohesive.
Yes.
So that I will have, let's say, 150 works, and they will be all related, so that eventually it will become a book. But of course, then it will be transformed into something else, and then into something else. There are a few ideas, but I think we should work like step by step.
Yes.
In the development process.
I have to ask you this question. We've got to ask anyone who's from Savannah. Has anyone showed you when you were at SCAD the Nun over on Liberty Street? Did you ever get the Nun? Yeah.
Of course.
That scary nun lady.
Yes, and everyone got scared. Of course, it was spooky. Yes.
Yeah. I'm waiting to go there to bring my children there so I could scare the crap out of them with the Nun.
Of course you will. Well, yeah.
That's so cool. I love it. Very nice. Now, so after you're complete this book, what else? What other projects are you doing? Like, what other things do you do?
Yeah. So, of course, while visiting all these places in Savannah, I realized that we've got like 27 beautiful squares, and so I will be painting squares of the squares. So the square paintings of the squares. So that will be the next step. And of course, my biggest dream is to go and travel all over America, and let's say go down on Mississippi River and paint America from the top till the end, where it started, and all the way from up north and all the way down. So, and it could be like American journey. There's I think a French writer who wrote a book about his experience of America, with his eyes. And I thought, well, we might put it in a Russian perspective and see what happens.
Yeah. What was that? Tocqueville, I think it was, who wrote that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's always an fun idea of how to paint and how do I see America, or what do I portray. And of course, it will be a lot associated with nostalgia,
Of course.
Of course. So those are future projects.
When I was looking at your work, I saw, obviously a lot of buildings from Savannah. I also saw that you did a lot of portraits as well.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your portraiture.
The portraiture is the love of my life. I love portraiture so much that I just can't help it but paint it again and again. And I do take portrait commissions, and this is, of course, something so sweet and beautiful I can work on. And I do love it so much that if not this project, I would have probably painted only, portraits and figurative artwork and things like that. So, but Savannah and architecture and scenes, it's just a project. It's an idea that needs to be done. So of course I won't paint it forever, but the figurative art is something I'm very, very passionate about. And when I travel back to Kazakhstan, of course, I take a lot of references. I have few models that pose for me, and it has a lot to do with nostalgia. Of course, the scenes and the way women looked, and it's just very, very beautiful scenes, and I keep them. I work on them slowly, but of course, I'm not focusing right now so much on it. But I do love portraiture. I love it. So
that's cool. I'll tell you my two favorite paintings that I saw of yours. The one was called Fiery Color, I think it's called. I wonder what building that is that she's standing in front of. It's a lady, a person painting, right? Kind of like doing a plein air painting, and there's like a blue window with white lines in it.
Oh yeah. That came from a time where I attended about 4 conventions, plein air conventions hosted by Eric Rowe. And plein air convention. Yeah, I went there 4 years on the row, and I took one convention, figurative convention of the portraits. That was in Miami. So. And this is where, of course, everyone is painting outside and the people are standing outside. And it was just a good, interesting snapshot of the artist painting.
Oh, so that was done in Miami, not Savannah then?
No, it was done actually in, I believe it was Santa Fe.
Okay.
So So it was just some picture that I fell in love with, and I thought, well, and the memory of the trip and everything, and I just wanted to paint that artist, just that painter, plein air painter.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are going on in it that I really, really like, and I think it's just a very successful design.
Well, thank you.
And then there was another painting that I looked at it and I thought something, and then I read the title. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. You have these 2 trees, right? And they're kind of like intertwining with each other, and you title it Tango. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I like this. So I like the way you were seeing it, and you saw this. Well, tell me what you saw in it when you saw those trees standing there.
Yeah, I have 3 Jack Russells, the dogs that I walk every morning, and I'm so lucky to live in a neighborhood filled with trees and beautiful pathways. And so I was walking and I looked at those trees, and this light was just highlighting one tree so much, but for some reason the other tree was just kind of muted, and it looked like a gentleman to me. And then I saw all this tangled branches that look like she's hugging him or something. I don't know what went through my mind. So I went there again. I did make a sketch.
Mm-hmm.
Then I came to my studio and I looked at it and I thought, well, haven't I made that sketch, it wouldn't suggest me the idea of the two trees kind of, dancing with each other or something like that. But this is how I decided to paint it because I just loved it. I loved the idea of how I saw it, the way I saw it.
I really, really like that one a lot.
Thank you.
I like the palette, the design, the story, the way that my eye moves through it. I can feel them dancing, this relationship between the two. It's really cool.
Aww.
Very, very nice.
Thanks.
Do you primarily then sell to tourists? Do they come into your gallery there?
Well, yeah, I have my website and a shop in my website where I sell from online. Mm-hmm. But I also have a lot of paintings exhibited in my studio space in the gallery. Mm-hmm. And I also am part of a co-op gallery on the River Street, which is one of the oldest galleries in Savannah. It's like 45 years old gallery. Where
what is it called?
It's a Gallery 209. I think 209 stands for.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah. Stands for a number of the building number, I think. So, and it's located on the River Street, which is very busy touristy place, which is my favorite. I love to work there sometimes, and interact with people, and they meet artists, and they get so excited.
Yeah.
So there's like 3 major locations where I sell my artwork, but of course I am in the progress of redeveloping my website where I'm adding this shop where I can sell my artwork from and subscribers get this collector. I call them collector cards, where it's a sort of a best works that are printed in the collectible cards with an explanation on the back of it. So, and they are also a sort of like a good souvenirs for the people that buy original artworks. So, so this is how it works for now.
I'm going to suggest to you, if you haven't looked into them, Art Storefront. They're not a sponsor yet, but they're just an incredible company. And if you go there and see what they do, that might be a great solution for you to run your art business online. And they have, it's called artstorefront.com.
Okay.
And basically it is what it says. They give you a storefront. You can upload your images. You can actually, as a person who goes to your website, if you like a piece of art, you can take a picture of your house, like a room in your house, and see what the artist's artwork would look like that in the house. Yeah, and then also it's really nice because the person can choose if they want to buy the original or buy a print, and then they can choose the framing, and you can select those to go with your style. So you can limit it. And then what's beautiful is they have these relationships with, I think they have like 4 shops across the U.S., like in different zones. So let's say if somebody buys it in the East, it goes to that person, that shop, and it's a high-end custom print, like where they focus on making fine art prints, and they fulfill everything for you, right? You get paid. So it's an incredible company that's super serious about making sure that their clients, the artists, are thriving, and so it's just not buying a piece of software. They're super serious about marketing. They give all of this. They do podcasts. They teach. They train. Like, it's insane. It's beautiful. So go check them out and see if that might be something that would be a good fit for your business.
Sure. Thank you. I'm already checking it, by the way. Yeah, sure, I will.
You're supposed to be talking to me, not looking at them. No. So let me ask you this question. If you could go back, let's say 30 years ago, okay? I know you're not that old, but 30 years, and talk to a little Luba, what would you tell her? How would you encourage her as an artist?
That Luba was so dreamy. That Luba was just in a la la land. Hold on. Wow.
La Luba.
La Luba land. Yes. I would tell, well, I don't know. I mean, my childhood back then was like so unbelievable and bright and interesting and free. I don't even know what I would have, let's say, done differently. I mean, maybe
that's the message. Love and dream,
Yeah, I mean, all of that happened for a reason, and made me as I am Luba now. But it's funny that you said 30 years ago. That was when I was 10 years old. It was the best time ever. So it was. I was actually pretty. It was just always this. So much desire to try so many different things. And it's like go places and see this and that and escape like a little. I was more like a boy girl. Like I would be hanging out with boys. I would play soccer and go climb on some kind of structures. I was that kind of a kid. I never was girly. No, I was just like a tomboy.
You were a tomboy who became fashion.
Yeah.
Tista.
Yeah, no, I have no idea how that changed. So, my grandma would actually, be mad at me and say, gosh, Luba, you have to brush your hair sometimes. And I would never care. I would go and just run on the upfields with boys somewhere, go pick up mushrooms or, fishing or something crazy they do. I would follow that. Because it was a very nice, humble time. The Soviet time was actually pretty cool. I mean, we were, the kind of, I don't know, it's just my experience. Maybe I was born on that kind of place on the earth. Like, maybe for some other people it sounds and feels totally different. Absolutely sure. But I'm just talking from my little perspective, how it worked for me. And we had so much freedom. We could go anywhere and never being supervised, which is the major shock to me. To living in the United States is a little different. When you have a kid, he has to be supervised. But I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we could go to the grocery store when we were 5 years old.
We're roughly the same age. When I was a kid, we could do that. Like you would go out and you'd be out all day, and you come
all
back.
Day.
When it got dark, you were supposed to be home, and nowadays it's like the only time a kid goes out if he's going to school or going to the store, and he's just going to the car, right, and then getting off and going into the building.
That's what I'm when I'm taking my daughter back to Kazakhstan to travel with me. She was there 6 times. I took her in the different periods of time, six times, and I showed her different parts of Russia because we would always lay over in the different, like through Amsterdam or through New Siberia or somewhere, like, so she could see and be like, it's what do you call it? It's some sort of a liberal understanding, like how the world works and what's the difference between this country and that country. Even, when she was little, she couldn't understand it all. She was smart enough to point it out and say, wow, look at these boys. They have nothing to wear. Their faces are dirty. They're playing some games on this pile of sand, and they're absolutely happy. Mom, they don't need anything. They're happy. I said, well, depends on how you look at it. What's the happiness to you? I mean, to them, this is the happiness. They're just free. They get to do whatever the heck they want to do.
Yep.
And I am so glad that she could see it, and just to be able to appreciate. Nowadays, of course, she appreciates what she needs to appreciate, and this is the travel, I think, is what changed her.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
as if, you know, for her friends, it's a little different, of course.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. That's why I always think that's why I'm a big believer in like what they call gap year before kids go off to college, to take a year and just go travel, go work somewhere, go do something. You know, because you spend 18 years basically being a student and go through that process around the same people for the most part, you know, but just go to another country, go for 5 months or whatever. And just
that's what teaches them to see it from totally different perspective, in a different culture, saturated with totally different beliefs, and so which they don't even have to compromise, but you know, they can totally juxtapose. Oh, okay, I thought about it this way, and now I see it totally differently, and I like it too. I love it.
Yep.
And that, you know, there's nothing wrong with, you know, whatever they thought about it. It's just that they have never been presented to see it differently. But the world allows you to see it totally different, and it's amazing. I think it's just very. I feel lucky that I'm able to, you know, to still be able to travel and see places and go to third world countries that are fascinating. Yes, they have a lot of poverty, but there is so much beauty. It's just this raw, you know, untouchable kind of, I don't know, it's just this kind of genuine beauty that is still there.
Yeah. In a weird way, it's not a commercial beauty, it's a very human beauty.
No, it's very raw. It's like it's been done by nature mostly, and people kind of adapted to it. They obeyed to it. They didn't confront it and changed it. But it's sort of, they came there to confront it, but then they were sort of humbled by it. You know, it's just amazing.
It's funny, my Bulgarian friend, I remember we were at, you know where Malone's is? The bar? Right. So right across from Malone's is I believe, a parking lot, right? Or is it another set of businesses? Well, there's like this little pizza shop right near Malone's. I can't remember what it's called, but him and I went there. And what I liked about the pizza place is when they brought the pizzas out, they brought out a big can of tomatoes and they put it on, and then they put the pizza on top of the big can of tomatoes. And I just thought that was the coolest thing, like an empty can of tomatoes, right? Like I just thought it was cool. But him and I were talking about like the kind of woman that we would love to marry, and, you know, I don't know, maybe 19 or 20 at the time, right? And and he's like, maybe about 20, 21. And he's like, my friend, but he's like, brother, I want a woman who has hands like she's dug in the dirt. And I'm like, I have no idea what in the world that means. He's like,
I was looking for a strong partner.
Yeah. And as I got older, I was like, oh, this is what he means. Like, you know, someone who gets their hands or go out and does something and like isn't afraid to like get dirty in life and take it and own it and make something with it, you know?
Exactly.
I'm like, I don't know what kind of ladies they have in Bulgaria, you know, but all right.
I can see it. Yep.
Yeah. So he ends up marrying this beautiful Brazilian girl who works very hard. So she may have, you know, delicate hands, but they're in the earth. She makes things happen. But so my most important and favorite question of all. What is it that you either love to eat or make in the kitchen? We talk about food.
Oh, this is a very, very thick, fat question. I've got many gifts, but I don't have a gift of cooking. So, and I knew it right from the beginning. I just can burn an egg right in front of your eyes. It's so miserable. I'm miserable in the kitchen. I am like a turtle who is learning how to fly. literally.
A term.
So,
Hold on. First of all, I have these beautiful Ukrainian friends, and when Val talks, he's like, "I tell you," he has this little son. He's like, "I don't give him, no, he gets vodka, really." Right now, he's only playing, but he always has that like really at the end, like you just did. He's like, "Go out, we start the car, we drive fast, really," like. Anyway, I
yes.
love it. I'm enjoying it.
So,
So you can cook.
I can, but I don't think I enjoy it. And since I don't enjoy it, the outcome and the dish is not that delicious because there's no passion in it. So I just never could really enjoy cooking. I mean, I had to. I had to learn. I mean, all Russians know how to cook. I mean, that would be, hard to say that I wouldn't be able to learn how to do it, but I never enjoyed it. So, and not only that, it's just like I could never really cook anything. I would love to eat whatever you cook. That's, of course, invite me, please. But no, I am. So, and of course now it all changed into this. I became a vegan, mostly raw vegan.
Okay.
And I think so.
So you don't cook nothing.
That solves a lot of problems. So I don't have to prepare anything. I just have to cut it, chop it, throw it in a bowl, and done. So that's what I mainly eat. Well, of course, it's not that of an exciting question whether or not what my meal looks like, but it sure.
Well, let me ask you this:
super healthy and super happy.
That's beautiful. Like a vegan. Is that like do they cook food or do they just eat it raw? Or is that something
vegans
else?
do prepare, cook. They process it in a way. It can be processed, whether it's cooked or steamed or whatever. But raw vegan meals are they are never being heat processed, so they're raw. They're just natural fruits and vegetables. That's pretty much it. And I wouldn't have done it if I wouldn't have a reason. I mean, I was at some point, I hit the mark where I started getting all kinds of health problems, and they escalated to the point where I was just so miserable and I couldn't find any help, except the last choice I had is to try to detox myself and go on a raw vegan journey and see what happens. Yeah. So the curiosity got me, and I thought, well, I don't have choice. I'm on 6 different medications. I feel miserable. I'm sick every week. I cannot perform. I cannot do anything. I'm becoming this kind of, just like weird, miserable, lazy woman. And I had a big reason for it. And I was just curious. I thought it's not going to kill me. I'm just going to see what happens. And 2 years later, everything changed. Like everything changed. I'm not on medications. I never take pills. I don't get sick. I just get so much energy to work until I have to go home. And I kind of fell in love with the outcome.
Beautiful.
Even though, of course,
love it.
It's hard for everyone to adjust to it. It's hard for me to adjust to it. Although I would say it's not impossible. I appreciate and respect everyone's meals and diets or whatever they do. I actually never say it much. It's just I know that it works for me, and it totally changed my life actually into a completely different me. I mean, what I was going through before is just like I can't believe that it. Now I know how it feels to feel good.
Yeah.
I know how it feels to not feel pain. It's amazing. So, and I keep doing it because it works. But before I was not religious about it. It wasn't like a cult or something. I was just curious. I was like, no, I really want to know. And I, but my doctor told me I have to stick to it for quite some time until my, body changes and adapts to it. It takes time. Don't give up too soon. And I thought, well, it's just been a process, but so that's what it is now. And it's incredible. It's just like I'm an Energizer bunny. So it's awesome. It feels like someone took me out of this body and put me in a different body and said, okay, enjoy it. Have a good ride. This is yours now. This is how it feels. It's like a day and night. Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
So my diet is very poor.
So like, out of the vegan, like, what is something that you like when you go to cook or make or eat or whatever? What's one of the combinations or meals that you really enjoy?
Yeah, like 99% of my time I eat raw, and I eat only fresh fruits and vegetables and all organic and stuff. But of course, when I go out, I'm thinking, well, sometimes I would have beautiful wild-caught shrimp. Or, I mean, I would still prefer to eat some different foods or have a glass of wine, no problem. But I can tolerate it because I don't do it so often.
Yeah.
Before I couldn't even tolerate that. Wine would not make me drunk. It would make me sick. But now
really?
I can actually, have a good buzz and enjoy it and think, I like this fermented juice. Okay, it's still vegan.
Juice. I saw that you had the wine in that one picture that you have. The paint, the triple self-portrait. You're like drinking the wine.
Oh, that's champagne. Yes, it's an Autumn Norman Rockwell. It was a 6 feet tall canvas that I did.
What?
It was my husband's idea. It's crazy. And I actually never thought I would sell it.
Idea. Someone bought it?
Oh, yeah, I sold it.
Well, that's awesome. That's your husband's idea. Yeah. But I love it. That was cool. Very, very cool.
So now, the idea was born every year to do a self-portrait. And every year I do a self-portrait, like confronting reality, let's say, where I'm coming out of the frame. That was another self-portrait that I just did, and I sold it right away before it even got dry. So I thought, okay, it's working. I will do every year as a tradition a crazy self-portrait with some sort of a meaning to it. Well, on that particular piece where there was the champagne sitting on the floor, I mean, it's such a feminist subject. As you can see, I'm sitting on the pile of books.
Women books, yeah.
Yes.
I saw all the portraits on the side were all women, Mona Lisa, Vogue, all those things.
Right, and it's my inspiration board. It's a Frida Kahlo and Mona Lisa and Lady Gaga. And I covered
that's what it was, yeah.
And I'm sitting naked and posing for myself, and I thought, well, this would be a cool triple self-portrait to do. And just because I love Norman Rockwell. I mean, he was the most controversial artist, and I thought that was great. So that's how it was.
Norm is my favorite artist. We're on a first name basis, him and I. But now on the top of that easel, there was a fuzzy hat, I believe. Is that like a Russian hat?
Oh, yeah.
What do you call it?
Exactly Siberian hat, shapka.
Shapka.
It's a very, very traditional fur hat that every Russian wears. And actually, it was covered by very famous designers that had a collection done with those particular hats that run for the whole season. It was a big trend. Particular hat. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Where I live, that would be an awesome hat. I live up in the north part of Pennsylvania in a place called Erie. And so, I look outside, it's been snowing for like 24 hours,
Yes.
It's like, I always, you'll get this. When I first came here, people were like telling me about the snow that's going to come. And so far this winter has actually been remarkably calm, and it's been surprising the people. And I said, don't be surprised. That's just because I'm here. So the first time I do something, it's always incredible. And then I'll waste the next 10 years trying to patiently get back to that first time. And then it never comes. But when I got here, I was like, wow, this place reminds me of like a Siberian Savannah, Georgia. That's what I used to say, because it's like cold, but there's something about the city here that reminds me of Savannah, where it's like it's a city, but it feels like a small town at the same time, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know, but it's not a small town. It's a city, but it feels like a small town. And here, what's weird is like you have to go outside and be on. You always have to be on, because I swear every single person you meet knows someone you already know, right? Like
Right.
you're like it. That's why it's like a small town, and I love it. It's very, very cool. But yeah. So Luba, how can people get in contact with you, or where can they go to find your work and things like that?
Of course, they can find me through lubalowry.com. This is my main website. And there's all information written about the location in Savannah where I work, under contact. I do actually everything through my website, mainly because it's some sort of a new new technology. It's a shops, virtual shops, and I think it's the easiest way to find me. And of course, on Google Maps, so that's pretty much, I think, it.
Cool.
My main lubalowry.com.
On your website, do you have a photo of your front door to your gallery and studio?
Believe not. I believe that, in social media like Instagram is where you can see that.
Okay.
Of course, the Instagram and Facebook also covers that, and then
gotcha.
And of course, Instagram is linked to my website. So if people find Luba Lowry Art on Instagram, they're directly linked to the website and so on, and locations in Google Maps, how to find me here. So this is what I have for now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Awesome. Love it. Well, I thank you for your time. It was an incredible, fun, and lively conversation. And
Thank you for your time. Yes.
And I'll take that information you shared with me and I'll put it in the show notes so that people can get access to your website and your social media, and they can connect with you. Okay.
Oh, I appreciate it. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. That's great. Hope to see some comments about it, and maybe people will be inspired or anything else.
In just 30 days, the Core 80 experience teaches you to decode the intentional design underneath great masterpieces. Through video lessons, assignments, and feedback, you learn to recognize the underlying structures like thrust maps, echoes, and gamuts that give master compositions substance and gravitas. Knowing how master artists and illustrators compose their artwork unlocks your ability to give your artwork more meaning and energy. Enroll today and get a 7-day no-hassle money-back guarantee at core80.com.